Okay, sir, you're welcome to mentor me.
Thank you.
Sir, so let's get to meet you, sir.
I'm Hrm Oba Dr. Adedokun Omoniyi Abolarin, the Adedokun of Oke-Ila in Osun State of Nigeria. That's my name.
Okay, sir. So, a lot of viewers now watching, looking at you,
Yes,
and
please.
want to get to know what makes you who you are, sir.
Yeah, I'm who I am. Thank God. Yes, I was a prince, but very many of my friends didn't know I was, or we were. My father and a lot of his contemporaries didn't know he was. But we were quite aware of our background because from our oriki, èmi ni ọmọ arútú olúòkun, èmi ni ọmọ ògbẹ́gun bẹ́là, èmi ni ọmọ láńsolóko ògúnlù gbẹ́ndùgbẹ́ndù, èmi ni ọmọ kámú ilá jẹ, kámú ògùn, kámú gbọmọ ìláyè, èmi ni ọmọ alókè ládà, èmi ni ọmọ alóko níkèrè. That's I've been hearing since my childhood days. So all along I knew, but probably because of our background, my father was a church elder and he was a consummate community leader. He was a tireless worker and impacted a lot of things in us. He was a mentor to very many people by virtue of his training as a teacher. He was for very many years a primary school headmaster until he retired in 1972 or so. Yes, before he moved into business. So in a nutshell, I was born 2 years before independence. I schooled in Ibadan. I went to the Seventh-day Adventist Primary School, Agodi, Ibadan, from 1964 to 1969. From 1969, yes, 1969 we were moving towards the end of the civil war. So I can say that I'm a product of the turbulence of the Western region, 64-65, the commencement of the military in 1966, and a product of the Civil War years, and before I was admitted to Adventist Grammar School, Ede, in 1970. 1967 to 1970, most of my non-Yoruba friends who were fond of each other suddenly left our school for the East. And for me, it was a troubling experience for me. Then started asking the questions for the reasons for the abandonment of their studies. So I'd always been interested in public life right away from my childhood days. So 1970, I went to Adventist Grammar School, Ede. I was in Ede between 1970 and 1974. I finished in 74. Yes, 1975, 76. I was a student at the then Ibadan Polytechnic for my A-levels. I spent a year. And in 1976, I was admitted to read history, then University of Ife. A year in the history department, I changed to political science with a few of my friends. My bosom friend, the former speaker of Ekiti, may so rest in peace, Fumini Afuye. You know, we changed from history to political science, and we graduated in 1980. 1980-81, I did my youth service in Jos, Nigerian Police Staff College, where I had the privilege of meeting the creme de la creme of the Nigerian police force. And there and again, I moved to Ife. Ife now. For my master's degree, I was a lecturer in the then Oyo State College of Arts and Science. I was there for between 1981 to 1990 or 1981 or 1989. So that's in a nutshell. That is my movement until I finished my legal studies too in Ife between 1987 to 1990. And I was called to the Nigerian bar in 1991. So I was in Ife for a very long time. And so in terms of preparation, I didn't have a inkling. I didn't prepare myself for royalty. I prepared myself for public service. I prepared myself for serious political engagement as in the class of Chief Obafemi Awolowo, who was a father figure politically. And at a point in time, because of my trajectory, I had close relationship with the leaders of Yoruba land at a point in time, from Papa Adedokun Omoniyi to Chief Ibrahim Adesanya, to Chief Bola Ige, Chief Ayo Adebanjo. I closely served with my group. I closely served these people until fate had to take me away from this and move to Abuja, where I was special advisor to the then Senate President, Hrm Oba. And until 2006, when I became the Adedokun Omoniyi here, in the year 2006. So, in a nutshell, that's my life history.
Wow. So I was going to ask you, sir,
Yes,
what was it like, the transition between the life you actually prepared for and the life that eventually is now?
I thank
What was
God.
the transition like?
The transition wasn't that good because it was like moving from grace to grass. Leaving Abuja for Oke-Ila, a lawyer. I mean, I was traumatized, and being a king was not something I worked for as a person. I didn't, while growing up, you have your expectations. I didn't. So, and from very many things that we've heard about royalty, that negative things. So, in terms of, it's a mixed up feeling. But to cast my mind back now, I give God the glory that I'm where I am. It's a call to service. Royalty is great if there's passion for it. Basically, as a leader of the people, and by virtue of my training, I know that a leader is generally a servant of the people. I know that I'm here to serve the people in my own little way. And probably the totality of my exposure as a scholar has a tremendous effect on me on the throne. I know the uselessness of man. I know that power itself is transient. And I know that you are available for a cause because it has been ordained. And that it's important for you to make a mark in that little position that the Lord has endowed you with. So I know that it's the grace of God that I'm where I am. In terms of living a meaningful life and a meaningful man. Yes, in terms of expectation, my expectation was probably to get elected as a senator, probably as a governor, or probably, why not, the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Because in terms of preparation, I adequately prepared myself for all those aforementioned roles. But this is where the Lord needs me. And I just thank God if I cast my mind back to when I started and where I started from and to where we are and where I think by God's grace we are going to be in the foreseeable future. I just give him the glory. Yes, it was a nasty experience for me. I say it all the time. The day the crown got to my head was the saddest day of my life. When I finally left Abuja, I got to the city gate. I looked back and I started crying. When I left my children, my eldest was just 11 years then when I became a king. I abandoned them for a position that was not clear in my mind, that I have no inkling about what the Lord has in store for me. But you hear this call. It's a missionary duty, it's a missionary work. And to the glory of God, I just thank him.
From what you've mentioned earlier,
yes.
It's like 17 years now already.
I'll be 17 in December.
December on the throne.
Yes, please.
In terms of what the 17 years has been, what would you say are your moments that you would love to celebrate most in these 17 years being on the throne?
Yes, I celebrate every day because I use 24 hours of the day to work. And I don't think that this generation will have reasons to celebrate now. The work the assignment is huge. The challenges of nation building is enormous, it's huge. We have poverty all around us. There's poverty everywhere. The children, your generation, it's like you are disillusioned. So why do I need to celebrate? So for us, it's just to walk and walk. Maybe the celebration time will come when we are gone. And our children too must be careful. Must be careful when they celebrate. Just like during the period of depression in the United States of America, we are in the period of depression in Nigeria. And all hands ought to be on deck. So for me, it's 24 hours of hard work. Yes, when I'm with my friends, yes, ruminate about the state of things. But, quietly we celebrate. But at the same time, not forgetting the huge responsibility in our hands. So, I thank God for the opportunity of service. That is huge enough to celebrate. And it's an answered prayers that I didn't know. Because before I became the king, I loved 2 songs. And one of them is the school anthem. God make my life a little light, within the world to glow, a little flame that burneth bright, wherever. 25 years, 30 years ago, I was fond of those. I was fond of that song.
Sir, just a minute. I want to take that song again.
Can they sing it? This is what they will sing.
I can sing.
No, is it what?
Is it what they will sing? The kids.
Yes, they can sing it.
Is that what they will sing? Or
They
you
have
a
so many
separate
things to sing.
Okay.
I can sing it on my
No,
own. They
I
can
don't
join
need-
me.
For what we stand for in mentoring,
Yes.
it's all about we're interested in the case of passing the baton.
Yes.
Passing the baton.
Yes.
Now, you got here because somebody actually invested in you and passed the baton in certain way as a mentor.
Yeah.
Now, who are your mentors?
I have many mentors. Basically, my late grandfather, my late maternal grandfather. He was not educated in the Western sense, but was brilliant from Ikutekiti. Elder Olowolaye. He was a child of God. He was a consummate, tireless, selfless worker. And my late grandmother in Hrm Omoyiyi Abolarin, my late father, my late uncle, J. Olayomi of blessed memory. Then, few of my teachers, my primary school teachers, my secondary school teachers, my secondary school teacher, my principal, who's going to be 90 this year, Elder Enoch Olale Dare, he's in there, my principal in Adventist Grammar School, and Elder Pastor M.A. Afolabi. Then in my university days, yes, Wole Soyinka was all in all to very many of us as students in the then University of Ife. Then few of our teachers too, Professor Yomidro Toye, Dr. Rovan Locke, we looked up to them. Ambition was to be like them. Then politically, Chief Obafemi Awolowo was everything to us. My thinking was to be an Awolowo. I wanted to dress like an Awolowo. I wanted to think like an Awolowo, and my ambition was to do everything like Chief Obafemi Awolowo, because it was an inspiration to those of us growing up in the old Western region. And when I had the opportunity, shortly before his demise, when I had the opportunity of shaking his hand, I shook his hand. I just removed my hand from his hand. I just put my hand in the pocket and I just left. My friends were looking at me. I didn't know that they were looking at me, monitoring me. Look at him. He's going towards the Obafemi Awolowo. Immediately I shook his hand. I just said, "Pow!" It's like I touched the hem of his garment. I mean, you read all his books, developmental, creative, selfless, and someone that had passion for people and for development. And he saw today. And that's what leadership is all about. I was so close to his political thoughts and what have you. And luckily, I had the privilege of now being trained by his apostles. Chief Abraham Adesoya, Chief Olaniwun Ajayi, Papa Onosoya, my leader, Chief Bola Ige, the only one of Chief Fayo Adebanjo, Kabiyesi of Ilu Abo, Papa Olufalaye. So it's a privilege. It's important for us and I always tell my children, my Abolarin college students, to have to look up to people, though they are now in short supply, because we worship things that are no longer important. We worship money. We need to learn from history. Everywhere in Nigeria we are blessed. And I tell my children, they are from all parts of Nigeria. You are from Borno State, you are from Cross River, you are from Akwa Ibom, you are from Segun is Delta, Nathan is Plateau. That individually we are good. They need to look up and learn from the past. So and that's why I always advocate all the time that the study of history should we should we should start again the study of history in Nigeria, especially the events and peoples of the past, especially between 1914 till date.
This is interesting because I was just about talking about the space that history was taken away from what we have. But in a nutshell, so we will see you're doing a very marvelous work here because right now we're in your school premises and you have a lot of the children here seated with you. I would have loved to ask what mentoring has been for you towards the children. I see them already, but what are the other avenues that you have for people to, not just you alone? What has the support been in terms of mentoring these younger ones?
Yes, I have missionary workers like myself. Yeah, they are being paid peanuts, but they just know that hey, the future is going to be bright. We are basically working for the future of this great country, Nigeria, and that we should not lose hope. And I tell these children that, yes, even today, I've spoken to very many of them. Hey, the essence is not for me being physically present when you guys are doing your exploits in Nigeria. But those exploits must be accomplished. We have to build. And that's why in Abolarin College, the philosophy they know is well encapsulated in the book of Isaiah 58:12. And they that shall be of thee shall build the old waste places. They shall build foundations of many generations. Not one generation, not two generations, not three generations, of many generations. And they shall be called the repairer of the breach and the restorer of the paths to dwell in. That is the clarion call. We mustn't lose hope about Nigeria. Yes, things are not done the right way. We are all not, majority of Nigerians are not happy. You know, but we know we get there. If only because of these children, the Lord will bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And you have 1,001 of them. They're talented kids, brilliant children, resourceful children, tireless worker. If you tell them to work, they're never tired. And productivity to them is key. Productivity to them is important. And we tell them that they must see themselves as one. Here in our school, humanity is one. Humanity is one. We have children from everywhere, from Igbo land. Chisholm is Igbo. Whereas again, Miracle is Igbo. Why won't they be here? They must be here. This is a school for all Nigerians because poverty is everywhere.
True.
Poverty is everywhere, and we must ameliorate. It's tough, it's difficult, but it's doable.
Okay, wow, this is beautiful, and I was going to ask just this very question: how far you've gone with what you'll be doing here?
We started about 10 years ago. We are going to be 10 next year, and presently we have 135 school children. And to the glory of God, we have about 50 of them in our various universities now, all within 8.5 years. All within 8.5 years. And the support basis on the increase. I have people assisting us to give them little in their various universities. Some of them are on scholarship. I'm not a rich man. I'm not praying to be stupendously wealthy. For those who are wealthy, we can do the work for them. We need to complement ourselves and seriously plan for that future. That future is too important. And funnily, we are not going to be part of that future. I tell them, I'm so emphatic here, the next 30 years is around the corner. It's here, but I doubt if I'm going to be around the next 30 years. I'll be, and I don't want to. If I have the grace to live for the next 25 years, I'm okay. But for them, they must pass the baton. Nation building is not the thing you get done overnight. Our leaders are elites. They must be conscious of that fact. It is not your biological children alone that you hand over to. If the Lord wants them to be part of the developmental process, we raise them up, even without you. But we must be conscious of creating leaders from all parts of Nigeria to build a prosperous country where we all understand ourselves, where we all appreciate ourselves, that 200 million people of a diversified coloration, different ethnic nationalities, close to about 300, religion, not many, and that is all a game of tolerance, perseverance. And this is what I keep telling the children. Democracy is not just a form of government alone, where you have institutions of government, the parliament, the executive, and the judiciary. Democracy is a way of life. You lose election, you compete for an election. Losing an election is not the end of the world. It's a game. 4 years is around the corner. It's a social contract, and that's why I always tell the political class, never must you joke with the people. Even the traditional ruler must never joke with the people. And that's why in Yoruba we say that in your lower leyin oro toro fin dun, without the people you are nowhere. And ajowe in Lobaman Jo, a king must always feel the pulse of the people. The leaders who are just moving without feeling the pulse of the people, unfortunately, they always forget that 4 years is just around the corner.
Wow. Brilliant. Thank you so much, sir.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much. On a final note, I want to just say on two level.
Yes, please.
For the one who is somewhat in your category,
yes,
occupying your space.
My what?
Occupying your kind of space in life.
Okay.
Probably not necessarily in terms of your kingship
position. Yes.
Yeah. And what advice would you give to them watching Nigeria?
They must never joke with the people. They must never joke with the people. They must understand that wherever they find themselves, they're just there for a while. That whatever position, wherever you find yourself, is just transient. Some were before us. We are now. We are not going to be here forever. We're just here for a while. So it must always ring a bell. Do your best. And that's why I like it during my annual festival. There's a period of Eka, where the talking drummers will come to the palace in the evening and very early in the morning, chanting, drumming, the beginning of this empire up to my time. Chronicling the direct son of Ututua, and up to the point of departure when brothers went their different ways. Historical chronology. So for me, I know that I'm just on that throne for a while. Some were before me. If the Lord tarries, we must appreciate that. We must pass the baton. And there are too many talents in Nigeria. And my prayer is Nigeria will be such a prosperous country that all our children who are outside of Nigeria, all over the world, they will come back to Nigeria and continue to build the land, because we've not started the exploration of the gift of God to Nigeria. And I pray that their generation and the generation coming after them will do great exploits and invest massively in the development of the present and the future of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
My pleasure.
And for the kids now, I want to take you back to that 15, 18, 20 years. If you had to advise a 15, 18, 20 years, what would you say right now to him? Because he's watching. What would you say to that?
Who?
A 15,
A 15, 12, 15.
teenager.
This is what I always tell them.
Your children here.
This is what I always tell them. They must love themselves. They must love humanity. Appreciate humanity. And that humanity is what? Humanity is what? Humanity is one. And they must work together. And they imbibe the tenets of the school. Okay? This college prayer is enough for them. We say it every day. We make me a servant, humble and meek. So, a servant, they must be humble, they must be meek. Make me a servant, humble and meek. Lord, let me take care of those who are what? Who are weak. And may the prayers of my heart always be, make me a servant, make me a servant, make me a servant today. So, for our children coming, I pray that they know that, I pray that the Lord Almighty will make them servants, humble and meek. If you are the chief executive officer of Dangote, you know you are a servant. If you are the vice chancellor of the university, you know that you are the servant of the institution, and that you must be humble and meek. You must be humble and meek. And that the Lord Almighty will use you to take care of those who are weak. Because people who are weak, definitely, most of the time, is not of their making. Along the line, Chief Obafemi Awolowo almost was weak. The father had a good idea of where he wanted his child to be. But when he was 11, 12, he lost his father. And he had to fend for himself. Between 1922 and 1923, he served 4 masters and went to 4 different schools before the Lord had to put him on the right course again, because he didn't lose hope. We mustn't lose hope. And I tell my children, I've told them this morning, read books of great leaders. They had their challenges. Chief Obafemi Awolowo had his, you don't need to, if you go through his book, you just cry, wow, this man, wow. And he became the premier, and was premier of Western Region, age 41, and on the dot of 50, he left as premier in 1959. He was born in 1909. So, now, it's never late. Work hard. Don't worship money. I pray you have money. And you should see money as a manure. Money is a manure. It's a means to an end. It can't be an end on its own. It's a means. What do you use the money for? To do what? And we thank God that we are rearing. We are creating stars of the future. We are building souls for service. That's why I'm recommending to the Nigerian public that there are 3 major books that we should encourage our children to read before age 15 or shortly after age 15. They must read the autobiography of Chief Obafemi Awolowo that was published in 1960. They must read my Odyssey. That's the autobiography of the great Zik, Nnamdi Azikiwe. And they must read my life, the autobiography of that great man, the Ahmadu Bello, the Sadana of Sokoto.
Wow, thank you very much for having us.
My pleasure.
At this point, I want to have our choreography, our song, beautiful song.
Oh yeah,
so
come and sing the school anthem.
Behind Kabisi and let's enjoy this moment.
Fatia.
Make my life a little light, waiting the world to glow. I need to flame that burn. although the place be small. God make my life a little staff, whereon the weak may rest. That show whatever strength I have, may serve my neighbor best.
Then we have a song in Yoruba. It's just to tell people that life is transient, and it's Lugba Lugba by that great artist, Orlando O. It's like our school anthem. We love it, and I always commend it to them, that wherever they find themselves, they must know that, hey, everything is transient, and do everything very well. Lugba Lugba. Let's sing Lugba Lugba.
Lugba Lugba, yeah, Lugba Lugba. Lugba Lugba, erora o, erora ye. Lugba Lugba, yeah, Lugba Lugba. Lugba Lugba, erora o. Ẹ̀dá tí lugba, ó ti tẹ́ra rẹ̀ lọ́rùn. Ẹ̀dá tí lugba, ó ti ṣera rẹ̀ léṣe. Ẹ jẹ́ ká lugba rere kílẹ̀ tó mọ́. Ó lè gbèrò lẹ́yìn wá ọ̀la. Lugba Lugba, Lugba Lugba, yeah, Lugba Lugba. Lugba Lugba, ẹ rọra o, ẹ̀rọra yé. Lugba Lugba, yeah, Lugba Lugba. Lugba Lugba, ẹ rọra o. Àwọn kan lọ́wọ́ aláìnífẹ́ ní tóní, nípasẹ̀ ní tóní, aláìní máa dìde. Torí ọ̀pọ̀ ènìyàn láṣẹ dá ẹ lọ́lá, torí tálíkà láṣẹ ń bùkún ẹ. Má fọwọ́ lágbọ́n aláìní lójú, dákun má ṣe fìyà jọmọ aláìní bàbá. Lugba Lugba, Lugba Lugba, yeah, Lugba Lugba. Lugba Lugba, Lugba Lugba, ẹ̀rọra o, ẹ̀rọra yé. Lugba Lugba, yeah, Lugba Lugba. Lugba Lugba, ẹ̀rọra o. Ìgbà kí lọ bí òréré, ayé ò ní lọ bí ọ̀pá ìbọn. Òyì ti rí ọ̀la ò rí bẹ́ẹ̀, lóhùn babaláwo dífá ojoojúmọ́. Lugba Lugba, yeah, Lugba Lugba. Lugba Lugba, ẹ rọra o, ẹ̀rọra yé. Lugba Lugba, yeah, Lugba Lugba. Lugba Lugba, ẹ rọra o.
Wow. On such a beautiful note, we're wrapping today's edition of Mentor Me. And I want to say a very big thank you to these beautiful ones here. You all sing so beautiful well. Akabiyesi, sir.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much, sir.
My pleasure.
Thank you, sir.
My pleasure.
Thank you
No,
very much.
before you head, I want to Bulu stand up and let them see you. Please clap for him. Bulu is Mandara from Borno State. Shegun, stand up. Shegun is Delta. You know, Ibrahim is from Borno State too. This is Nathan. Nathan is from Plateau State, is Biro. Asabala is from Borno State, is Shua. Abi? Yes. Oye is from Oke-Ila here. Peter is from Gongon. And stand up, Emmanuel. Emmanuel wants to be the governor of Osun State in the from Cross River. From Cross River, you have Fati Angel. Angel is from Borno State. You have Rachel from Osun State. Yeah, you have Success from Akwa Ibom. You have Toyosi from Oke-Ila here. You have Taye from Ororuwo in Osun State here. You have Mary from Faji in Osun State. You have Fatima from Ikirun, Miriam from Ikirun. You have Esther. Esther is Igede from Benue State. Who else again? Let me see you. Bolu from Ilarogun, my beautiful daughter from Ilarogun. You have Ruth from Iragbiji. Who else? I can't see you. This cat from Oton Ayegbaju. Who else again? Lekon. Lekon is from Ibadan, but we picked him from Obagun. But he's an Ibadan boy. And you have Hans from Oton Ayegbaju. You have Femi from Idofian. You have Fatia from where? From Iragbiji. You have my daughter Esther, the yellow day of the future in Ilarogun. And you have Ajoke from Ogun State. And you have Shade from Ora Igbomi. And who else again? Joshua Ijabe City. We call him the gold digger. Clap for him.